Holy f- We're gonna need to talk about this one. Let's go. So let's get started on our season 2 review for Demon Slayer because I've got so much I want to talk about right now. I just kind of wish I had a Nezuko somewhere. That would honestly just be kind of cool, don't you think? Well, let's get started. I have to give credit where credit's due, and that's to Ufotable. This studio is just on another level right now, and my thoughts are just kind of all over the place, but I want to discuss season 2, the Entertainment District arc, so let's break this down into sections. So let's start with Ufotable. Before we break apart the season, I really want to dissect a little bit about Ufotable. I have talked about them in the past during prior Demon Slayer videos, but this studio is doing something incredibly unique that may not be something that people notice at first glance. A lot of studios have tried finding ways to utilize 3D into 2D animation, but it always comes across very jarring and problematic because it really stands out and doesn't look like something that is a part of the same show that we are currently watching. Let's just take a look at El Noah Zero as just an example. Anytime they would get into the giant mech robots, it would just be full-blown 3D animation. But as you can see here, it just straight up looks like 3D animation and doesn't really match the 2D animation that's currently on the screen, so it's just making it really jarring, and just kind of my personal opinion, it makes everything look really low budget. Now, this is not to take anything away from A1 Pictures because they produce a lot of great stuff, but these scenes make it feel like a rush job, and it's ways to cut corners and save money and time. Now, I completely understand the motivation, as time is money, and if a studio can find ways to speed up production, which if you use 3D, it really makes things easier as you don't have to hand draw every single frame of action, so the appeal is huge, and I totally understand that. Though the cons kind of outweigh the benefits in this example, as to me it turns you off, as it just overall makes the final product feel weaker and less polished. So all of this rambling is just to bring me back to Demon Slayer and Ufotable, as they found a way to truly bend the 2D with 3D and make it incredibly difficult to know what they are using in every scene. This is because they blend that 2D and 3D together so seamlessly, and it gives them the freedom to be able to work with different camera angles that really give that smooth cinematic look, and just getting shots that you normally would not be able to get when you're just doing hand-drawn animation. Just looking at a scene like this, if this was to be hand-drawn frame by frame, this would be almost impossible to pull off. But because they're blending the two scenes together, 2D with 3D, it just makes this task so much easier. Still incredibly amazing how they blend it so well together, but using these different tools is really showing off when Ufotable does it compared to other studios. Now, I really do want to nerd out and go into a much deeper analysis of Ufotable and Demon Slayer in general, so I'm thinking about making a dedicated video breaking down how the studio accomplishes what they do. So let me know in the comments if this is a video you'd be interested in.
歴代縁柱の書は私が修復します。他の書も調べてみます。
Let's start from the beginning, because this season picks up right after the Mugen Train arc, and at this point I think every single Demon Slayer fan has probably seen it because it has shattered the box office even during a pandemic. As I'm sure you all remember, the hero, and I mean hero with a capital H, because this man truly is the definition of that word, and that's Rengoku. He gave his life so heroically to save every single person on that train, including Tenjiro, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and I can't stress enough just how powerful that entire scene was regarding the three of them watching Rengoku slowly pass away. So that brings us back with a small time skip where we can see the three of them have been training this entire time and becoming a lot stronger. But now we're introduced to a new Hashira, Tenjin Izui, and he has a really flashy look to himself with this abundance of confidence, just coming off as a true kind of alpha male leader type of person. I honestly wasn't a huge fan of him at the start of the season, but as the season progressed, he became one of my favorite Hashira because despite his seemingly selfish behavior, you quickly realize he's not selfish at all, and this is someone who gives everything to save people. So let's dig into that a lot further. They make their way to the entertainment district where he needs to make Tanjiro and the others look like girls to work in the brothels so they can gather intel to find Uzui's missing wife. Oh, did I mention he has 3 wives? Yeah, this guy has 3 wives. The thing I love about Demon Slayer is they really waste no time jumping into the heart of the story, and Tanjiro started to unravel what's happening, but before he can do anything, the upper demon reveals herself and Uzui is too far away at the moment, so Tanjiro has to handle her all alone. And man, yo, this is immediately where shit goes down. The entire season from this point is just pure, unadulterated fire. I don't even know if the word unadulterated makes any sense, but I don't care because this is just how crazy this shit just goes off. Okay, that actually made sense. Don't you wonder sometimes you use a random word and you're like, how do I know that word and why am I correct with using it? There we go. Tanjiro is barely holding off Daki and her power is just beyond his current capabilities, but he started to learn how to combine both sides of his powers, utilizing both fire and water, and this unlocked a new source of power within Tanjiro, and this moment completely caught Daki by surprise and he almost kills her. But in that moment, it also took everything he had left in him and he essentially just drained all of his energy. So after such a gorgeous looking scene, Daki has the advantage again, but guess who shows up? That's right, no other than Nezuko. Oh, hey Nezuko. Nezuko is livid and she just unlocks her new power and boy, look at how big they are. I mean, how big she's gotten. She just goes crazy attacking Daki, and despite Daki slicing Nezuko up, it does nothing with her rapid healing. And Nezuko just overwhelms Daki as she pounds the living shit out of Daki. And I gotta say, every single frame of this moment is just glorious. Nezuko unleashes her inner beast and we finally get to see what she's capable of doing. Now that Nezuko is in this state, she's losing control and becoming full demon, and as Tanjiro wakes up, he is trying to control her so she will calm down. But while this is all going on, Uzui just shows up in the nick of time to stop Daki from hurting them. Uzui handles Daki pretty easily and manages to cut her head off, but something isn't right here. She is just whining and crying and she isn't dying. Then all of a sudden a new person appears. Uzui wastes absolutely no time going for the kill, but we see shit is about to be elevated to a whole other level because Daki's brother is the one with the true power of the upper 6, and holy shit, yeah, it just got insanely real. Tanjiro has his hand tied to his sword because he just doesn't have the strength to hold a good grip any longer. Despite his body constantly wanting to give up from sheer exhaustion, he knows he needs to help because Uzui has been poisoned from Gyutaru, and one slip up will have them all killed. I just can't get over the feelings that the episodes from this point on give us. The stakes just feel so high, and they feel that high because it just feels like the characters could lose their lives in this moment. And that's when you know you've done a good job with your storytelling. The fact that Rengoku died is proof of this. Gyutaro is absolutely no joke, and they all need to work together to defeat Daki and Gyutaro because the only way to beat them is to cut both of their heads off, otherwise they will always regenerate. So this is where we get to watch Zenitsu and Inosuke really show off what they have learned. Zenitsu is asleep the entire time while he fights, so he never gets overwhelmed from the situation he is in and can react accordingly, and holy shit, Zenitsu is an absolute beast. The speed and skills he is unleashing versus Daki is just next level. And the animation, I'll get more into the animation later, but despite all the beautiful colors flying throughout the screen, Zenitsu is just going god mode the entire time. We also get Inosuke just showing how skilled he really is and just utilizing his raw skill sets. In the one moment, as Zenitsu and Inosuke both have Daki cornered, he uses both of his blades to try and cut her head off, but it was still too difficult, so he saws her head off. I also just want to point out, I never get tired of Inosuke's laugh. I can't not laugh when he laughs. It's just so funny. I can't do it.
謝ったりしないで。お兄ちゃんなら分かってよ。私の気持ちを分かってよ。
Well, the joy was short-lived because as Inosuke runs off with Daki's head, Gyutaro stabs Inosuke in the back, and as Tanjiro is in shock as he appeared out of nowhere, we can see Uzui is also on the ground with his hand cut right off as he lays there unconscious. Then, without a moment's notice, Zenitsu pushes Tanjiro off the roof to save him from Gyutaro. Now, everybody is knocked out and or dying, and the only one barely even standing is Tanjiro. And now he has to go one-on-one with Gyutaro, which is basically impossible. So that's it. Tanjiro gets killed, and that's the end of Demon Slayer. Wait, or did I just make that last part up? Okay, I did make that last part up. Tanjiro is actually just barely hanging on for dear life, trying to hold Gyutaro off. And luckily, Gyutaro feels like playing with his food for a bit. So Tanjiro takes a last-ditch effort and finds a poison kunai and stabs Gyutaro in the leg while headbutting him to distract him. Honestly, the thing I have to constantly give it up to Tanjiro is this guy never quits. No matter how messed up he is or how much his body wants to just shut down, he refuses to just sit down and die. Then the next most epic moment happens and we see Zenitsu just roar out of the rubble, going all out, utilizing his amazing speed. And this is what always gets me. It's these moments that Demon Slayer just knows exactly how to tug at the heartstrings and keep your adrenaline just pumping. Zenitsu is just giving it his all, trying to cut Daki's head off while completely injured, and you have Tanjiro taking the moment to try and cut Gyutaro's head off, and just the sounds of his screams giving every last bit of energy he has to try and win. Yet, even with this, Gyutaro is just too damn much and is about to stab Tanjiro in the face. And then Uzui flies out of the rubble, utilizing one hand and his second sword in his mouth, which reminds me a lot of Zoro. Then we get this absolutely epic fight from Uzui and Gyutaro, and the visuals during this entire sequence is just insane. Seriously, this is beyond movie quality. And again, Ufotable are just on another level, just spoiling us with these gorgeous visuals. Uzui loses an eye during this fight, but uses that moment to stab Gyutaro, and Tanjiro is still trying to help, and he takes this moment to finally get a clean hit on Gyutaro's neck. But while doing so, Gyutaro stabs Tanjiro under the jaw. If you want an idea just of how painful something like that actually is, just take a pencil or a pen, make sure it's not the actual pointy end, don't actually hurt yourself, but just put it under your chin and just really push up and give it pressure. And you'll notice here, under your chin, there is so much nerve endings, it's really painful. So imagine getting stabbed right through with that hook. Oh, it would be unbearable. Yet, Tanjiro just rages out, utilizing a new power-up that finally gives him the last bit of effort he needs to cut Gyutaro's head clean off. While this is happening, Inosuke appears from the rubble. He didn't die because he can shift his organs around, so he's seriously messed up, but still has enough in him to give the last bit of energy that Zenitsu needs to also cut Daki's head off. They actually did it. They actually did it. Wait, no. Is that Tanjiro? This part was honestly really hard to watch. It was so incredibly well done. Watching him struggle to gasp for air as his body is just completely shutting down is just heartbreaking to watch, and not being able to breathe is just terrifying. Also, you're not gonna believe it, but it's just not over yet. Gyutaro has one more final to give and just goes for a kamikaze explosion which completely levels the rest of the district. And again, Ufotable just never stops. The episode ends with the animation of the remains of the explosion just falling from the sky from a far out shot as the credits roll. It is a beautiful way to end the episode, leaving us hanging on a cliffhanger, wondering what the hell has happened. But as the credits keep scrolling, we keep getting a simple, beautiful animation of the background shot. And It's stuff like that that just keeps blowing me away from what they keep doing.
俺の唯一の心残りはお前だったな。
So we move into the final episode, which is a 45-minute special, and we see what actually happened, and good girl Nezuko saves the day using her ability to destroy Gyotaro's blood, and it removes the poison from Tanjiro and Inosuke. Then we have Uzui dying from the poison and his wives not letting him get his last few words out before he dies. Then Nezuko just pops into frame and touches his arm and lights him on fire, and I could not stop laughing. His wives just lose it on Nezuko because they think she lit him on fire. We know already that she is healing him from the poison, and so Uzui isn't gonna die, but unfortunately, he still doesn't have a hand. And I guess an eye. And if all of that wasn't enough, we get the tragic backstory to Gyotaro and Daki and how they were treated like complete shit and lost their lives because of the cruel reality of humans, and they gained a second chance while being demons. Despite all the chaos and harm they have caused you, you still can't help but feel bad for them. We watch them fade away while crying for one another, and that is it. They finally managed to take down an upper six, and it took literally everything they had and more to do it. This is what makes Demon Slayer so brilliant, and something I wish a show like Dragon Ball Super would learn from. The absolute teamwork and how it took every single person to play a role to win this fight, because if any one of them weren't there, they would have all lost for sure. The stakes being so high and everyone's skills being showcased was just something truly special to watch. And I cannot wait for the next season that was already announced, which will be the Swordsmith Village arc. I'm totally okay with Ufotable taking as long as they need to complete the next season because they just keep getting better and better with this animation. Honestly, I would love to go into a deep dive of the animation, which I plan to do in a totally separate video because this review is already super long, and truthfully, Ufotable and their animation team deserve an entire video dedicated to what they are doing because it is just completely off the wall incredible. You can literally pause at any second of this season and get a beautiful looking wallpaper. Honestly, congratulations Ufotable. You deserve all the credit you get from giving us something so special like this season, and Demon Slayer as a whole just constantly filling my blood with adrenaline and tugging at my heartstrings. So I want to know, what did you think about season 2 and what were some of your favorite moments? Let me know in the comments. I'm just completely blown away at everything that unfolded this season and the wild ride they gave us for season 2, and I can only imagine where things go in season 3. So that's going to be all for this one. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Hitting that like button is a huge help. And of course, click the bell to be notified when I drop my next video. So don't mind me. I think I'm going to watch a little bit more Demon Slayer and just rewatch the whole season again. So that's going to be all for this one. I'll see you in the next video.